Hi everyone, I'm Taris, and I'm here with Juji, Kim, Lee, and Sheira. We are 5 friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups, coming together to offer healing and inspiration. We want you, our audience, to get to know each of us a little better through our struggles, triumphs, and the lessons we've learned along the way. Sheira, you are the last of our group to be interviewed. We know this past year was super transformative for you. I mean, we've been on this journey with you for the last year. And well, wowzers, let's take a dive into your past year.
Where do I even start? Like, seriously, there is nothing about my life that's the same. Nothing. Like, I left my marriage about a year ago. Well, I told him I was leaving about a year ago. Then I actually left in July. And I don't live in the same place. I don't work in the same place. It's just like everything has changed, and really for the better. First of all, let me just start off by saying how incredibly grateful I am that I really feel like God plucked me from a situation when I made the decision that things need to fucking change around here. That's the truth. And, you know, you guys may or may not remember that I was fully prepared to go to California.
Oh, yeah.
To get a change of scenery, and hopefully things will get better. And yeah, we'll just go 3,000 miles away from my support system, from my family. Yeah, that's a really good idea, Sheira.
With your husband, though, Ad.
With my husband, yeah. Totally, yeah.
Before the shit hit the fan.
Before the shit hit the fan. And so when I had the clarity that I needed, which, you know, was a very long time coming, but when I really think back about the layers of the onion peeling away, it was really over the last couple of years that the clarity was coming really slowly. And then the floodgates just opened up. It was like, because you guys know that I meditate a lot. And one of my big prayers when I was meditating over the last year or so was, well, the year before the last year, was, dear God, please help me to see with new eyes. That's all I asked for. Just please help. What am I not seeing? I'm not seeing something. And when that clarity came, it was like, whoa, oh my God. And then I just knew what I had to do. And then it was like decision. Yeah, Tara.
So like what was the clarity? What was the message? Was there like a specific message?
Yes. Well, the more subtle messages were coming over the year before, like, you know, something's not right. And why are you allowing things to unfold the way they are? And you have more power than this. And just, I kept saying something's wrong. And then I did some digging, I did some reading, I did some researching, and I realized that there were certain characteristics of my marriage and certain behaviors by my ex that were, that just became really clear to me that, and the biggest like aha moment for me was, I don't think it's going to change. That, I mean, I changed so much in the couple of years leading up to that clarity moment, that I felt like there was just this really big disconnect. And there was no more possibility of aligning. And when you kind of go, you know, there's a quote that I absolutely love, and you'll probably hear me say a bunch of quotes throughout the interview, but one of my favorites that came to me about a year ago was, I'm learning to love the sound of my footsteps walking away from things not meant for me.
Love that.
And I was like, chills. And when I read that quote, I was like, holy shit, that's what I'm doing right now.
Sheira, can you give us like an example of what was going on in your life that wasn't making you happy? Because right now you're a bit in general terms, and I would just love to, you know, give the audience a day in the way.
I'm not planning on going on like tremendous details right now, but suffice it to say that after being in a marriage, being together for 32 years, like even just saying those words, I'm like, what? Like, holy shit. There were so many good things in my marriage. I just want to say that there were so many good things, so much laughter. Number one thing, our children. I have the greatest kids in the entire universe, not comparing. But I just adore my children. Raising them was like the biggest joy of my life. And really at the end of the day, it was about me. It was about me allowing certain things to happen and continue to happen, and not being aware, not realizing, which is the wonderful journey of life, is just these constant realizations. But when you start to realize that you're losing yourself, that you don't feel like you're in your power, like you don't feel like you can make decisions, like you don't feel loved, truly loved and heard and understood, and like you're on the same wavelength on the really important things, that was true for me for a very long time. I felt like I was constantly walking behind the garbage truck, like picking up the pieces. I was just like, and I just couldn't work that hard anymore. It was just so freaking hard. And the other thing about me is that I am very good at hiding. I see that now. I didn't see it then. I was very good at hiding because I am just a happy person in general. And so I always like poo-pooed things like, oh, it's not that bad, or oh, it'll get better, or just like sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug. Or in my case, I was sweeping it on top of myself until it got so heavy that I collapsed, you know? And I collapsed in a good way because I just had the clarity that I needed. But these are all, everything I'm telling you right now are all like the pieces of the puzzle that I was built on, like from my upbringing till through my adult years. I'm the peacekeeper. Like that's who I am. I am the peacekeeper to my own detriment. That's what I learned. I am the peacekeeper. I am the lover. I am the cheerleader to my own detriment. And when I had that awareness, I was like, nah, 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 nah. Something ain't kosher in China.
Oh my God, I love that.
You just said something really important, which was that like all of the things that you were allowing were like built on a foundation that wasn't necessarily sustainable. So like I had a very similar experience. In fact, you and I probably left our marriages around the same time. Obviously, I was married for a lot less time than you. But what do you think the foundation of your marriage was? What previously happened that you allowed? Because I know that has been my journey, is figuring out what allowed me to be in this situation.
Yeah. This is what's so wonderful about self-discovery. It really is. I think that, I mean, I can say so many things freely now that I could not say before. A, because I didn't really know that's what was going on for me necessarily. And B, because I was obviously hiding in some kind of shame. I think it all stems from insecurity. At the end of the day, it all stems from feeling like you don't know what you're doing, and you don't got this, you know? That's where I always deferred to other people to make decisions. And I'm seeing that I did that now because I wasn't trusting myself. And why wasn't I trusting myself? I am a perfectly capable, intelligent, intuitive, smart person. Although intuitive, not as much. Intuition is something that's really, really been honed for me, that I have honed over the last year. But I would say insecurity, it was built on a foundation of, you know, the man that I married is a big personality and incredibly creative and charismatic and smart and funny. Just so many characteristics that I valued. But the thing is that I have those characteristics too, but I remember so many times in my marriage that I would be like, oh, he'll know what to do. Oh, I'll tell him, he's resourceful. He, just constantly deferring a lot of the important things to him. And that doesn't serve you well as an individual living your life on this planet, you know? And the thing is, you get used to certain behaviors. You know, we all have been through where you're in a kind of a not healthy, possibly dysfunctional situation, and your deepest part of your gut is saying, but there's so many other things that you have to keep intact, like your family and your job and the home and, you know, the family, the larger family. And there's just so many other buckets that you have to deal with, especially when you're raising your children, that I always took care of myself. Don't get me wrong. Like, always had my girlfriends, and I you know, ate well, I exercised, but emotionally, I was not there for myself. And I didn't really know it.
Shira, where did that insecurity come from, you think?
Where does the insecurity come from? I think we all have insecurity to some degree, right? There's no person walking the planet that's like, I am so secure all the time. Like, it just doesn't exist. But I think that my insecurity, I mean, you know, if I'm thinking back, definitely my upbringing, I think it's part of my nature to sort of question and doubt, I guess. But I am also the daughter of a Holocaust survivor, right? So my dad lost his entire family when he was 13 years old. And he lived in a forest for 2 years with a bunch of other people that escaped. And that, like, his story has really, really stuck with me my whole life. It's really where I hone my compassion skills, because I just say, like, my dad went through that only because he was Jewish, only reason. And I think that sort of like, it's just good enough, like subconsciously, I think my whole life I was like, maybe comparing whatever problems I had to whatever my dad went through. And it was like, oh, that's nothing, I can deal with that. But the truth is that your problems are your own. And when you're not feeling good and whole inside, it's not okay. Yeah. Like, you can't poo-poo problems away. So I'm not saying that that's the stem of my insecurity. I think the other thing definitely that has stuck with me is the year that it's funny because Juji and Lee, both of you and myself, have very similar, you know, left everything you knew and went to another country and had to be like plucked, you know, plopped into new culture, new language, new people. I was 9 years old when I went through that. And as much as that shaped who I am from a resilience standpoint, because that year was completely pivotal to who I am today, it definitely added to my insecurity, because you're in a new place, in a new world. It's like a double-edged sword, you know? It's like, wow, it was so pivotal. It made me so much stronger. It made me capable. But at the same time, it was like, I don't belong. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't fit in, all that. So that year was really transformative for me. And then the year after that, possibly even, well, probably not more so, but when we came back from Israel, we moved from my childhood home to a hoity-toity, very rich and wealthy neighborhood, and I went to private school with my siblings. So I have a twin, you know, my twin and my brother, who's a year older, got plopped into this like religious, wealthy, like, I was so fish out of water, I can't even tell you. And
wait, when you say religious, you're saying Catholic religious?
No, Jewish
private
religious.
School? Okay.
Yeah. Not with dad who's a Holocaust survivor, I don't think so.
I didn't know that there were private Jewish schools.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why I'm asking.
Absolutely.
Tons and
Every
tons.
culture, every religion has.
Yep.
And Sheira, just so it's clear, so when you were 9, you came from Israel, where you were living, over to America, or America?
No. Let me go back a bit. So I was born in Brooklyn. Who was? And then when I was about 4, we moved to Long Island, and I was the only. I was the only Jewish kid in my class, and I remember being
in
called
Long Island.
Yep.
Where on Long Island was that?
In my class.
It's not all Jewish, Long Island, okay?
Valley Stream.
You may have gone to school with my ex. He grew up in Valley Stream. Oh, well, that's a whole other discussion
for a whole other episode.
But he was Jewish too.
Definitely felt insecure in elementary school. It's so funny. I'm actually having this recollection right now. This is such a weird, out of the blue thing. When I was in 4th grade, total side note, when I was in 4th grade, I always did well in school. Always got, you know, excellent. She was an amazing student. We love having her in class, blah, blah, blah. When I was in 4th grade, we were doing a unit on like reading comprehension. And I think I was like sick the day they went over it, whatever. Anyway, the rest of the school year, until the very end, when a light bulb went off and I was like, oh, I get this is so easy. I was struggling so big time. I just thought I was like an idiot. I was like, why am I not getting this? I don't understand. And for some reason, I remember every once in a while that story will pop into my fiber, and I'm like, you know, of course I'm over it, but I remember it. I remember it so vividly. So besides that, and being called dirty Jew in my school, Yes, I was.
God,
Oh,
really?
yes, I was. Oh, yeah. My dad had to get involved. Went to like, the schoolyard one day, and my dad's like, "Tell me who said that," and
To your
uh,
sister too, or just you? Because you have a twin sister.
I know, but I was just there at the time. It happened a couple of times. It didn't happen all the time, but it really made me feel shit. Like
Oh.
really
Wait,
shit.
so at this time, did you know what your father had gone through with the
Oh,
Holocaust?
of course. Oh, yeah, yeah. My
So
dad always talked to us about all the stories. I'm really grateful for that. And the fact that he was not in a concentration camp definitely made a difference for who he ended up being. Like, he lives in a forest. He was like, I'm safe, I'm hiding. Don't get me wrong. They found him. They collected the whole group. They put them in a house. Like, he totally thought he was going to die, and he escaped through a window and ran and ran and ran. And they were like shooting, and the bullets didn't hit him. Like, this is what my father went through. Like, we have a saying in
At
our
13.
family, the bullets aren't real. Meaning, whatever shit you think you're going through, you'll figure it out. Like, that's kind of the theme in my
Oh
family
my God,
growing
I
up.
love that. The bullets aren't
The
real.
bullets aren't real. But for him, the bullets were real. But my dad, if you talk to him today, he's 92.
I
He
want to
will
meet
tell
him
you
so bad.
that it was like a game of cops and robbers. He was just like, oh yeah, no, I'm totally going to make it out of here. Not even a doubt. He never, ever questioned. He's such a survivor. It's like amazing. Anyway, back to elementary school. So definitely had a lot of insecurities, being the only Jewish kid, always picked last on, kickball teams and whatever, just so like kind of shaped who I am. I had some friends. Then I was in Israel. So my mom is from Israel. My dad is from Poland. And we used to go to Israel all the time to visit my grandmother and my aunt and uncle and my cousins. Like, they're the only family I have, because my dad is a sole survivor. He has no family. He has some family in Israel, we found out, but we're not close to them. Anyway, so we came back from Israel. That whole year just totally made me who I am. I came back and like forgot my English. Like, not even kidding. I didn't see my dad the entire year. I didn't tell you that part too. My mom took us to Israel for the summer between 4th and 5th grade. And when we were there for our usually like 3 to 4 week visit, she sat all the kids down and said, just so you know, you're going to go to school here now. And we were like, what? I don't understand. So she enrolled us in a public school, not like an American school, like a public school. So I'll tell you a story. This is kind of a shocker. So here I am. So I had to get over the shock of that. And I'm like, well, what about daddy? And she's like, what about daddy? And I was like, is he not coming?
Wait, she kidnapped you?
Yeah.
I mean, I know this because we've done a workshop together where you shared the story.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
and if I ever say that word to her, she's like, I didn't kidnap you. And I'm like, yeah, you did. I mean, there's no other really way to say it, right? She took us from our home 6,000 miles away, and you're living here now, and your dad is back there. So yeah, we're just going to call it what it is. It was kidnapping. So
Was your dad not aware that this was like that she had a plan to keep you there?
there's a lot of nebulousness around that stuff. I think that he thought that, because we used to go every summer, pretty much every summer, to visit my family. And I think they worked it out. They're like, oh, well, if she has an apartment there, then, that'll make her happy and whatever. I don't know that he necessarily thought that she was going to like fully take us and fully put us in school there. When I think about that, it just breaks my heart, because my dad lost his whole family, and then he lost his whole family again. When I think back on that year, I used to have nightmares about not seeing my dad until I was like in my 20s, and I was like 9. I remember having nightmares about seeing my father after years, going like, I don't know you, So my mom sat us down, and then she did not want us to be raised in America. So just to give both sides of the story, my mom and my dad met when my dad went to Israel to visit some cousins that I was just telling you about before. And while he was there, they set him up on a hot date with some hot Israeli chick. They fell in love. 3 weeks later, they got married. They never really decided. Yeah.
They wasted no time.
No time at all. Didn't really have an understanding of where they were gonna, like my dad was like, oh, you'll come to America, I'll take you out of, my mom lives in a lot of
Like,
poverty.
it's right next door.
I'm gonna be the knight in shining armor and I'm gonna take you back to America. You're gonna love it, it's gonna be great. But I think in my mother's mind, it was like, oh yeah, well, I'll go to America for a while, but if we have kids or whatever, we're gonna come back here. P.S. 10 months later, they had my brother. So talk about wasting no time. So, and within 2 years, they had 3 children because of my twin. So my brother was born 10 months after they got married. And then 14 months later, my twin
They
sister.
work fast.
Holy guacamole. And they didn't know they were having twins until my sister came out.
What?
Literally, my mother goes, because my mother just gave birth to my brother who was like 9 pounds, first child, 9 pounds. My sister comes out, she's like 4 and change. My mother's like freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, she's so little. And the doctor goes, you have another one in there. And my mother goes, this is no time for jokes. She thought the doctor was kidding.
Oh my God. Did they not have ultrasounds at that point?
No ultrasounds in 1964. So, and then they were 5. So yeah, it's just crazy. Like it all happened so fast. So then by the time it all hit them, I guess it was like, wait, where are we raising these children?
What do we do now?
So for a while it was like, here, you take them. You know, and also their communication styles, their cultural gap. There was just so many problems from the get-go between the two of them. So anyway, that year, my mom was like, that's it, not raising children in America. This isn't happening. And so she took us. And I'm very glad that she did, by the way. So anyway, then we came back to America. And that's where a lot of the insecurity.
Back to America.
Wow. So Sheira, I think that this is a really awesome place to just stop because we have so much more to talk about. Like what happened when you came back? So I don't want anyone to worry because we are going to continue our conversation with Sheira in part 2 of this interview. Until then, if you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to let us know if you have any topic requests or questions by commenting below. We'll see you soon, and thanks for watching. Stay safe, everyone.